Thank you for joining us on Savvy Senior Sources, Talking with Experts. Let's take a moment and hear from our sponsors, GWG Life and Reverse Mortgages SIDAC.
Provide for your long-term care. Convert your life insurance towards payments for long-term care. If you are concerned about future health care, you can convert your life insurance to pay for home care or assisted living. Health problems can be stressful enough without the added burden of financial obligations. If you feel that you no longer need your life insurance policy, you may want to apply the value towards long-term care.
Hi, I'm Beth Paterson, a certified reverse mortgage professional with Reverse Mortgages SIDAC. Mike and Carol decided that they needed a one-level home to fit their changing health needs. They used the reverse mortgage to purchase their new home instead of using conventional financing. This has benefited them greatly. Barbara decided to do a reverse mortgage to pay off her conventional loan that she was making monthly payments on. She had funds left in the line of credit after paying that off, and a year or so later when she fell and broke her shoulder, she was able to tap those lines of credit to pay for her home care. As she said, she would have been up the creek without a paddle without the reverse mortgage. If you'd like information on how to receive security, independence, dignity, and control in your retirement years, contact us. Welcome to today's episode of Savvy Senior Sources, Talking with Experts. Savvy Senior Sources guide your way through resources A to V for seniors, boomers, caregivers, and their advisors. In addition to the show, we also publish a resource guide, the Savvy Senior Sources Guide, and we invite you to visit the website savvyseniorsources.com to get information on resources as well as how to get a copy of the guide. And I'd like to take a moment and say thank you to our sponsors, GWG Life and Reverse Mortgages SIDAC. And welcome back to co-host with me to Deb Nygaard with Arthur's Residential Care. Glad you're back with us.
Thank you so much.
And to our guest, Gary Johnson, who is with the Better Business Bureau. And today's topic is on scams, specifically scams faced by seniors. So thanks for being here, Gary, and covering this important topic.
Thanks for the invitation, Beth. And I do senior outreach work for the Better Business Bureau. Have been doing that for the past 5 years and have been affiliated with the Better Business Bureau since 2014. And our mission is to get the message out of be wise, be informed, be empowered to seniors and other interest groups in our community.
Great, and I've heard you speak, and we've had the conversations a few times about this, and so we want to share the message and talk about some of the scams.
Sure.
First of all, talk a little bit more about the Better Business Bureau.
Well, the Better Business Bureau started here actually in Minnesota. We were the very first one. We celebrated our 102nd anniversary this spring. And our main focus of the Better Business Bureau is to provide trust in the business community, but also provide consumers with information on making buying decisions. So our kind of motto is always check before you buy. And if you have a question about a company, we can help you either via phone or online. And we get, in our service area, which is North Dakota, Minnesota, about 6 million contacts a year where people are looking for good companies to do business with.
Wow, 6 million, that's a lot.
Mm-hmm. Now, what are some of the statistics regarding scams for seniors?
Well, you know, it's become more and more prevalent all the time. I mean, as a nation, that's it amounts to about $2 billion that is reported lost due to these types of scams and frauds that we hear about in the paper every day. And it all boils down to each state, of course, has their own losses. And what happens when we hear about the reported losses, that's only the tip of the iceberg. When we think about people not wanting to come forward and say that they were a victim, mainly because they may be losing a little more of their own autonomy, and their families may be needing to help mom and dad stay afloat.
So there's many that don't come forward. So
we're finding that when I go to, and I talk mainly to 55 and older housing complexes or senior centers, and if I ask for a show of hands at who's been affected by the grandparent scam or a lottery scam, there's always hands that go up, but I always wonder how many more people don't want to acknowledge that they've been a victim or know a victim. So,
yeah. Talk about the some of the scams, some of the more common ones.
Well, the ones we hear about the most, and the ones that have maybe the most impact, is the scams like the grandparent scam, where you'll get a call, "Grandma, this is Tim. I'm in jail and I'm in real trouble. I need your help." And the big red flags on those are, "Don't tell anybody. I really need your help, but don't let my mom and dad know about this." So a red flag, don't let anybody else know. Needing to act immediately to address the issue, and so they prey on people's emotion and not logic, and that's where people, they really want to help, and they get kind of forced into thinking that we need to help and get this taken care of right away, and without checking first with others in the family.
Yeah, and explain a little more about that scam. They get the phone call, and then I was just at the Scam Jam,
right,
where you had a woman that, and it wasn't the granny scam, it was...
No, in the Scam Jam talk that we had, a lady in Duluth got caught up in a lottery scam, where she was called and said that she had won $5 million in a new Mercedes. And over a period of about 11 days, that lady got bilked out of $47,000. And she just knew that she had won this money, and they had convinced her, but it was fees and taxes and things, and they would encourage her to go take cash advances on credit cards to pay these fees. And before she knew it, she had basically forced herself into bankruptcy. And her real reasoning behind this was the win was going to be a legacy for her children and her grandchildren, that she could provide for them. It wasn't that it was such a selfish thought on her part, but she wanted to create a legacy for her family. And the lottery scam,
tying into the emotions.
Right, and then that's how they first contacted her. She said she really couldn't talk because she was on her way to a church meeting. And so the next phone call, the guy was a pastor, and followed her lead, so to speak, in drawing out this information. And it was just horrible. And it happened to her, and it was really noted because her daughter was working with the legislature to work on laws protecting seniors. But it happens every day in lesser amounts or even more amounts. So.
Yeah, sad. I had a client who told me about the IRS. He got the phone call from the IRS, and I know sometimes we get it on email, but he had gotten the phone call from the IRS saying he owed so much in back taxes.
Right.
And he said, "Oh, that's news to me." And you probably can add more to the stories, but as they went on, they wanted him to pay, and he said, "Well, what if I can't?" And they said, "Well, hire a good criminal attorney." But I know you've got the story on that too.
Well, the con artists and scammers of our time follow the news, and whatever is in the news or timely, like the IRS scam came out, prior to tax time, and there were threats that, I even got one on my home answering machine that was from a person with the IRS, and it was very broken English. I needed to call their number immediately because I was in arrears and they were going to prosecute. Some of them get a lot more belligerent on the phone that we've got, we'll call the police and have someone at your door if you don't give us a credit card number to take care of these things. So they kind of follow the trends of the day. I mean, they watch the morning news like we do, and with all the disasters that occur, they kind of prey on people, what's on top of their mind, so to speak. Yeah. And the IRS one was a big problem, both by telephone and online.
Another one, he said he had gotten a call on, it was for online pharmacy.
Right.
And he said that they gave him a good price for the prescription or for the drug, and he was playing along because he knew it was a scam. But when he asked, well, do you take American Express? No, we only take Visa. So a good sign that he's like, they only wanted my Visa card, numbers, my credit card number. So.
And that's what they really do is, a lot of times they'll even call like they're from your bank or from your clinic, and all they want to do is verify information. They'll claim that there's issues with your account that have to be corrected, and they start out with easy questions like confirming your name, your street address, and so they kind of get the person shaking their head, yes, this is reasonable, this is it. And then they'll ask the questions like account numbers, passwords, social security numbers. And with seniors and everybody as a group, we have the power on these phone calls. Hang up the phone. We can then call, if we are concerned, call your bank. Say, is there any issues with my account? Call your clinic. There was even a point when the Affordable Care Act was, in the news a lot, where people were getting calls that had to verify their Social Security information, or they would not receive their benefits due to the Affordable Care Act. And so again, they play on the buzzwords of the day and catch people off guard.
Yeah. Now, do they ever come door to door?
All the time, especially now with our spring season here. A lot of the scammers that come to people's houses knocking on the door saying, we have leftover material from a contracting job in your area via, it's either windows repaired or gutters, or they have leftover asphalt and they can repair your driveway, those types of things. And they'll offer it at a real good price. So a senior might think, wow, I can maybe afford to get this done. And they'll ask then for maybe a little extra money for down payment on permitting or extra material that they need. And then a lot of times they're gone. Or they'll want to do landscape work, and they'll clip a few bushes, and they've gotten a prepayment up front to complete a large landscaping job. And they'll look like they're busy at doing that job, and then it's 5 o'clock and they leave and they never come back, and they've gotten 50% of the project paid for and they're gone. So the only thing good about our Minnesota winters, it kind of keeps the riffraff out and allows, but if you have somebody coming to your door, just never make a decision on the spot. Tell them that you'll check them out with their referrals, or check them out better at the Better Business Bureau. And don't get caught up into making down payments and things like that at that time.
Our policy is never do business with anybody that's going to knock on our door like that. We had somebody just a couple weeks ago. I was sitting in the living room and I saw them come to the door, and our doorbell's not working because we're doing some remodeling right now. And I thought they read the sign that I have on the door that says, no solicitation. This means if I don't know you, do not expect me to answer the door, type of thing. And so I saw him walk away, and I thought, oh, they read the sign. Well, then later my husband and I were outside, and here comes the same guy and walks up all friendly. How are you doing? How's it going?
Right.
And I give him a look, and I said, were you here earlier? And he said, yeah. And I said, can you read? He's like, yeah. And he's like, my mom gives me that look. And I'm like, well, must be a good reason she gives you that look. But then when I said, we do not do business with people who knock on the door.
Right.
And didn't you read the sign that says no solicitations, please leave? And he said, I'm human, you should treat me like a human. So a new tactic, you know, and also the ones that call, they're always saying, oh, I'm not selling anything.
Right.
Yeah, they are. So.
Yep. Even if they, you know, on marketing surveys, will you just answer some marketing survey questions? And people think, well, yeah, I could help you out. People are generally, and the thing about seniors as a group, and myself included, of course, as you can tell, but we grew up trusting people, and we grew up respecting authority. So that puts a big circle, a target on our back. And when we look at some of the statistics that are out there, people over 60 years old can control about almost 70% of the wealth or 65% of the wealth of our nation. So another big target on our back for the crooks. We have that trusting spirit, and we respected authority, so if somebody comes across that way, it does make us a vulnerable target.
What can seniors do to protect themselves against some of these scams?
Well, be very, very cautious in giving out information. I mean, that's where they get us the most, and they can do that either by phone or knocking on your door, or if you're online, you might even get a contact online where it looks like it's from the IRS, and it looks very formal, and they may encourage you to go offline to a statement that I heard that was, we've audited your 2010 tax return. It appears we owe you money. And just go on this link and put in your banking information. We'll transfer those funds to you today. And what they do is transfer the money out. And people, when I do meetings like this with, you know, savvy seniors, so to speak, everybody said, well, how would they fall for that? And all it takes is one person out of 150, 200 calls, and they've made their day. And what happens with money that gets wired out of our country, it's just not retrievable. The law enforcement, you know, wants to help. They like to get the information, but if the money is wired out of the country, it's gone. Yeah. And there are resources we like to send people to, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But
here, especially in Minnesota, we're known for being Minnesota nice.
Right.
And we have a hard time saying no to people. But my philosophy is somebody's going to get hurt. And so it's not going to be me anymore.
Right.
I've been there. I've been down that path. So I've gotten very much stronger to say no. And we need to feel empowered
right.
to say no. Skip the Minnesota nice.
Absolutely.
And
you know, I got a call. I had my hip replaced 2 years ago now, and I'm home from the hospital for about 3 days, and I get a call from a walk-in bathtub company. And I'm going, well, that sounds pretty good, but I didn't request any information. And I asked this person the name of the company, and he gave me that. It was a Minneapolis-based company, and I said, I need to know the owner's name and how I can reach him, and he gave me a name and a number. And then I said, I need to know your name and number again so I can reach you at any time, because I'm on the do not call list, and you've opened yourself up for a $10,000 fine.
They didn't know who they were calling today.
And so what happened there, I mean, then the guy backtracked very quickly. But we just have to take a stand that, hey, this is my private life and you have no part of it.
Yeah, we get to make those choices. And
right.
Stuff. So talk about how people can protect themselves and what to do if they suspect a scam.
We encourage people to, even if you get a call and you realize that this is not right and it is a scam, we at the Better Business Bureau like to hear about these things because we meet quarterly with law enforcement agencies. The Better Business Bureau is not an enforcement agency, but we meet with the IRS, the Federal Trade Commission, Commerce Department, just a whole list of enforcement people, Attorney General's office, and they come to our building quarterly, and we talk about what's happening in an area, what's happening in our region, and how cases are being pursued. So we can funnel that information. If you've been a victim of a postal scam, we can get that to the postal inspectors.
It's a postal scam.
Well, a lot of times it's just stuff that comes in the mail, where you're getting solicited for a lot of things. You know, the Better Business Bureau too monitors charities, and I don't know if we want to talk about that.
Yes, please do.
But the Better Business Bureau monitors charities, and that's where a lot of people get on basically a treadmill where they are contacted and donate to a charity that they feel comfortable with. And there's so many sound-alike ones out there. So if you get a phone call and it's regarding returning veterans or medical research opportunities, and it sounds like something you've heard before, have a little speech in your back pocket that says, you know, our giving is done for this year. Send us your information. We'll consider you for next year. And we can provide you information at the Better Business Bureau with a phone call that we can let you know, number one, is the charity registered as a 501c3, and what their percentage of income drawn in goes to support the cause you want to support, and what goes to administration and fundraising. So we can provide you with that information. There's a disaster around every corner, and so these calls keep coming in about things that you're familiar with, the floods, the famines, and all this thing. And so if people, you know, even give a small amount or $20 or then they are put on a donor list, and then the mail comes and the phone calls keep coming because their name got sold. And so it puts a lot of seniors, and especially if you know someone in your network or group that seems to be withdrawn, and you visit them, and there's a big stack of these requests, and then there's also their bills are piling up. Maybe they're not taking care of themselves like they used to. And a lot of their resources are going out to these you know, unscrupulous charities. So there are good things to support, and we can support things locally. But if you ever have a question, contact us. We can either provide you the information, or we can get you to agencies that can.
Good. And there's do not call list.
The do not call list is still in place and very strong. You can put your cell phone on that too. And I have people again that say, I'm on the do not call list, but my phone rings off the hook. And what happens in a lot of cases, you answer the phone, you get a check by your name. You engage in conversation, you get a check by your name. If you buy into their offer or product, you get a gold star by your name, and then your name is sold and churned through all these other organizations. So the legitimate businesses respect the do not call list, but the con artists don't. So if your phone rings, it's somebody that doesn't have your best interest at heart.
Yeah. And also, you can sign up to reduce mail.
Yes.
And also not getting the credit card requests.
Right. And the brochure that we have available at the Better Business Bureau will give you a list of resources. But yes, you can get a hold of the Direct Marketing Association. It'll take your name off of mailing lists. Again, the good guys respect it. The credit card offers is another one that we encourage people to stop. If you're getting a lot of unsolicited, pre-approved credit card offers, if your mailbox gets pilfered up those pre-approved accounts in your name at another address, and you won't know about it until the bills aren't being paid. So we encourage people to do that.
And we're out of time, but so Shred, contact the Better Business Bureau. We've got your contact information on the screen for you. And just be cautious.
Yep.
Listen to the gut. Don't fall for the things, and they are friendly, so they can get you real easy, but stick to your grounds and know who you're talking to. So thanks. We could go on with a whole lot more information. Thanks, Gary Johnson from the Better Business Bureau. And again, reach out to them for information. And again, thank you to Deb Nygaard from Arthur's Residential Care for being my guest co-host again today. And a moment to say thank you to our sponsors, GWG Life and Reverse Mortgages SIDAC, for making this show possible. And visit SavvySeniorSources.com for more information. Thanks for joining us today.
What is the secondary market for life insurance? The secondary market for life insurance is an emerging financial market that provides individuals options with their policies. These options allow policyholders to benefit from the value of their life insurance. Policies are sometimes a financial burden, especially for seniors, as premiums often increase over time. The secondary market offers financial alternatives that can help policyholders benefit from their life insurance now.
Hi, I'm Beth Paterson, a certified reverse mortgage professional with Reverse Mortgages SIDAC. Bob's wife passed away, meaning his Social Security income was cut in half. His financial advisor suggested he look into a reverse mortgage. With the reverse mortgage, he was able to take a dream vacation with his nephew, and oh, the stories that they can share. After Bob passed away, his niece shared the difference that it made to the whole family. Dorothy did the reverse mortgage in order to protect her other retirement funds. With her line of credit, she was able to travel, buy a new car, and do home repairs. Years later, she's still benefiting from the reverse mortgage line of credit and not having to rely on her children. For more information on how you too can have security, independence, dignity, and control, contact us.